fellow Cane Corso enthusiasts. You know we love our Corsos, and we're always looking for ways to keep them happy and healthy, right? Well, today we are diving deep into something super important, but maybe a little scary. Foods that our beloved giants should never, ever eat. I know, as Corso owners, we're probably already pretty careful about what our furry friends gobble up, but trust me, there are some seriously sneaky culprits hiding out there in our kitchens and pantries. Foods that seem totally harmless to us, but that could spell big trouble for our Corsos.
It's true. Dogs process food so differently than us humans. It's fascinating, really. Something that might be a perfectly harmless gnat for us could be a real danger for them, even life-threatening.
So let's get right to it. What are some of these hidden dangers that we need to be extra vigilant about?
Well, let's start with chocolate. I mean, who doesn't love chocolate, right? But for our canine companions, it's a definite no-no.
No sharing those sweet treats with our furry friends. Got it.
Exactly. The problem is that chocolate contains these compounds, theobromine and caffeine. We humans can metabolize those pretty easily, but dogs process them much more slowly. So the theobromine can actually build up in their system, and that can lead to a whole bunch of problems, vomiting and diarrhea, hyperactivity, tremors, in really severe cases, even seizures.
Wow. Definitely not the kind of chocolate high we want our Corsos experiencing.
Right.
Okay, so next time I reach for that chocolate bar, I'll make sure to keep it far, far away from my Corso. Better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely. Now here's another one that might surprise you. Grapes and raisins.
Grapes and raisins, really? They seem so harmless.
I know, but even a small amount can cause sudden kidney failure in some dogs.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a mystery as to exactly why grapes are so toxic to dogs. Scientists think it could be due to a mycotoxin. That's a toxic substance produced by fungi. Or maybe it's a sensitivity to tartaric acid, which is found naturally in grapes. But whatever the reason, it's definitely best to err on the side of caution and keep grapes and raisins far away from our Corsos.
Okay, grapes and raisins. Add into the list. So, no more sharing my fruit salad with my pup. What else do we need to watch out for?
Okay, how about some common ingredients that we probably use all the time? Onions and garlic.
Onions and garlic. Wait, serious?
Yeah, they're in so many dishes.
I know, right? I can't imagine cooking without them.
But they can be quite toxic to dogs. They contain a compound called thiosulfate, and that can actually damage their red blood cells and lead to anemia.
Okay, no sneaking my Corso a bite of garlic bread then, no matter how much he begs.
You know, it's funny, I always thought that these foods were only dangerous in large amounts, but you're saying that even small amounts over time can be harmful. That's right. It's not always a single large ingestion that's the problem. Sometimes it's the cumulative effect of little bits here and there over time.
That makes sense. It's like the saying, little by little, a little becomes a lot.
Exactly.
Okay. What else should we be aware of?
All right. How about macadamia nuts? They tend to cause some pretty strange symptoms in dogs.
Macadamia nuts. Strange how?
Well, even a small amount can cause weakness, tremors, vomiting, and even hyperthermia.
Hyperthermia. What's that?
It's basically an abnormally high body temperature.
Okay, so keep those macadamia nuts out of reach. Noted. It's amazing to me how these seemingly ordinary foods can affect our dogs in such strange ways.
It really is. And here's another one that often surprises people. Avocados.
Avocados. I love avocados. They're so good for you.
I know, right? They're packed with healthy fats. But for dogs, they can be a problem. They contain a substance called persin, and that can be pretty harmful to our furry friends.
So no avocado toast for my canine pal.
Nope.
It's really incredible how differently our bodies can react to the same foods.
It is. And speaking of different reactions, our next culprit is a little sneaky. It's not a food itself, but an artificial sweetener. Xylitol?
Xylitol, I've heard of that.
You probably have. It's in a lot of sugar-free foods these days. Gum, candy, even some peanut butters and desserts.
So it's something we really need to watch out for.
Definitely. It doesn't really affect us humans, but for dogs, it can cause a rapid and dangerous drop in blood sugar.
That sounds serious.
It is. It can lead to all sorts of problems. Weakness, lack of coordination, seizures, and even liver failure.
Yikes. It's scary to think that something like a piece of gum could be so dangerous for our dogs.
I know. So always check labels carefully and be really mindful of what's within your dog's reach.
Okay. No unattended gum or sugar-free treats lying around. Got it.
Exactly. And while we're on the topic of things that we might enjoy but our dogs definitely shouldn't, let's talk about alcohol.
Alcohol? Well, that seems pretty obvious.
You'd think so, right? But you'd be surprised how often dogs get into alcohol accidentally. And even a small amount can be incredibly dangerous for them.
I can imagine.
It affects their central nervous system, just like it does ours. But they can't metabolize it as efficiently. So what might give us a mild buzz could cause serious problems for them. Vomiting, diarrhea, difficulty breathing, tremors, even coma.
So no sharing my happy hour cocktails with my Corso, even if he gives me those big puppy dog eyes.
Definitely not. It's a good reminder that our dogs aren't just smaller versions of us. They have their own unique physiology, and what's perfectly fine for us can be a real danger to them.
Absolutely. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here with these scary foods to avoid, but I don't want to end on a negative note. So tell me, what are some healthy and delicious treats that Cane Corsos can enjoy? I'm always looking for new ideas to spoil my furry friend.
Well, plain cooked meats without any skin or bones are always a winner. Chicken, turkey, lean beef, just make sure it's cooked thoroughly and doesn't contain any seasonings or sauces that could be harmful.
My Corso goes absolutely crazy for grilled chicken. It's like he can smell it cooking from a mile away.
I bet.
What about fruits and veggies?
Oh yeah, carrots are a great option. Apples. Just make sure you remove the seeds. Blueberries are a good choice too. They're all packed with nutrients, and they provide a satisfying crunch.
Okay.
And for an extra special treat, you can even try freezing some of those fruits. They make a refreshing and hydrating snack on a hot day.
Those are all great suggestions. I'm definitely going to try those out with my Corso. So we've talked about what foods to avoid and some healthy alternatives. What else should Cane Corso owners keep in mind when it comes to their pup's diet? What about things like balanced diets and portion control?
Those are both incredibly important considerations for any dog owner, but especially for those with large breeds like Cane Corsos.
Right. It seems like there's a lot more to think about than just what foods to avoid. So let's delve into those topics next.
You're absolutely right. Balanced diets and portion control are so important, especially for our Cane Corso friends.
Okay, so let's break those down a bit. I mean, we all know balanced diets are important for humans, but what does that really mean for our furry friends?
Well, dogs need a variety of nutrients to thrive, just like we do. They need proteins, carbohydrates, healthy fats, vitamins, minerals. And just like with us humans, the right balance can be a little different for each dog.
So there's no one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to our Corso's diets.
Exactly. It depends on their age, activity level, any health conditions they might have.
So it sounds like talking to our vet is a good place to start.
Absolutely. Your vet is an amazing resource. They can help you figure out the best diet for your individual Corso. And they can also help you figure out the right portion sizes to keep your Corso at a healthy weight.
That makes sense, because let's face it, some dogs are just champion eaters, and those extra pounds can sneak up on them, especially with larger breeds like Cane Corsos.
Oh, absolutely. Cane Corsos are prone to weight gain, and those extra pounds can really put a strain on their joints. It increases their risk for other health issues, too.
So managing their weight through a balanced diet and portion control is crucial.
It really is one of the best things you can do for their long-term health and happiness.
So how do we make sure our Corsos are getting that balanced diet? I mean, there are so many different dog foods out there. It can be overwhelming trying to choose the right one.
I know, it can be a lot. A good place to start is by looking for a high-quality dog food, one that's specifically formulated for large breeds.
Okay.
Look for brands that list real meat as the first ingredient, and try to avoid those with a lot of fillers, artificial additives, byproducts.
So it's kind of like reading food labels for ourselves, but for our furry friends.
Exactly.
And what about those homemade dog food recipes we see everywhere online these days? Are those a good option for Cane Corsos?
They can be.
Yeah.
But you have to be really careful. You need to do your research, make sure the recipe you're using is nutritionally complete and balanced for a large breed dog. It's easy to accidentally leave out essential nutrients if you're not careful.
So consult with your vet or a veterinary nutritionist before diving into the world of homemade dog food.
Definitely a good idea.
Better safe than sorry, especially when it comes to our beloved pups.
Exactly. Now let's talk a little bit more about portion control. It's not just about what we feed our Corsos, it's also about how much.
Right.
And for those of us who love to spoil our furry friends, this can be tough.
I know. Those puppy dog eyes are hard to resist. So how do we find that sweet spot between showing our Corsos love through treats and making sure we're not overdoing it?
It's all about balance. Treats should really only make up about 10% of your dog's daily calorie intake.
10%.
Yep. Think of treats as a little bonus, not the main course.
Okay.
And even with healthy treats, you have to be careful.
So moderation is key.
Exactly. Too many treats, even healthy ones, can lead to weight gain. or digestive upset.
Everything in moderation, just like with our own diets.
Exactly.
So we've talked about main meals, we've talked about treats. What about things like free feeding versus scheduled meal times? Is one better than the other?
That's a great question. For cane corsos, I generally don't recommend free feeding.
Free feeding?
Yeah, that's leaving food out all day, letting them graze whenever they like.
Oh, okay. I always thought dogs were pretty good at regulating their own intake.
Some dogs are. But cane corsos, well, they love to eat. And they're prone to weight gain, remember. So they can sometimes struggle with self-regulation.
Ah, so it's more about us helping them manage their portions, helping them stay at a healthy weight.
Exactly. And having scheduled meal times actually offers a whole bunch of other benefits, too.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, it helps you monitor their food intake. You can prevent overeating. And it can be really helpful with potty training. Helps establish a good routine. Plus, it gives you a chance to bond with your Corso during mealtime.
Those are all great points. Scheduled meal times it is. Now, you mentioned earlier that we should talk to our vets about creating a personalized diet plan for our Corsos. Can you tell me a little more about that? What would that look like?
Sure. It's all about working with your vet to come up with a feeding plan. One that takes into account your Corso's individual needs, preferences, any health conditions they might have.
Just like a custom-tailored diet plan, just for them.
Exactly, like a custom-tailored suit, but for their diet.
I love that. It seems like creating a truly healthy diet for our furry friends is a pretty big responsibility.
It is. It's so much more than just filling their bowls. It's about really understanding their needs, being aware of those potential risks, and making choices that support their well-being.
Well said. We've covered a lot in this deep dive. The foods cane corsos should steer clear of, some yummy and healthy alternatives. And we talked about how important a balanced diet and portion control are. Anything else our listeners should keep in mind when it comes to their Corso's nutrition?
You know, knowledge is power. The more we know about our dog's nutritional needs, the more we understand about the risks, the better we can take care of them.
Absolutely. And our vets are such valuable resources on this journey. They can give us personalized advice, help us navigate all the information out there.
Couldn't agree more. Never be afraid to ask your vet questions, even if they seem silly. They want to see your Corso thriving just as much as you do.
So true. It's easy to get overwhelmed with all the information out there. But our vets are our partners in our dog's care. Before we wrap up, what's one thing you wish every Cane Corso owner knew about their dog's nutrition?
That's a good one. I think it would be this. Every dog is different. What works for one Cane Corso might not work for another. Pay attention to your dog's individual needs. And don't be afraid to adjust their diet. Of course, always in consultation with your vet.
That's great advice. It's all about getting to know our dogs, recognizing that they're unique.
Exactly. And remember, we never stop learning. Canine nutrition is always evolving. Stay curious, do your research, keep talking to your vet. It's an ongoing journey, but it's so rewarding.
So well said. I've definitely learned so much today. I'm feeling a lot more confident about my Corso's nutrition. I think I'm going to go home and do a serious pantry check.
That's a great idea. And here's the final thought. Why not talk to other Cane Corso owners? Share what you've learned. Compare notes. Create a supportive community. Let's all work together to keep our beloved giants happy and healthy.
I love that. Knowledge is meant to be shared. To all of you Cane Corso enthusiasts out there, keep those tails wagging. Keep those bellies full of safe and healthy goodies. And keep those conversations going. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Catch you next time.